Man of Interest here, and it's time for This Week in Keyboards. And today, it's a slightly special episode and a slightly delayed episode, which I apologize for. Last week was CES, which is one of the biggest trade shows of the year, and there was a bit of keyboard news. It's not exactly the standard enthusiast level news that I cover every week, but it's news I still want to cover for the sake of it being CES. It's always interesting to see what changes happen in the normal consumer keyboard space, and I think it's really important to keep those things in mind to give us context on what we enjoy. Also, I like to pay attention to the normal OEM space because every now and then I'll have a family member or a friend who's looking to get a keyboard and they'll ask me, and I can't just recommend them spend $600 on an Alice, can I? So before we get to this long list of news, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of this episode, Kono.store. Over at Kono, there are a lot of products you can check out, like the Ergodox, the Kira, Gemini Deston, and the Skog Lite. If you're looking for a vendor to help with distribution for your future group buy, you should also check out Kono. You can visit their site through the link in the description below. So, let's get on with the news. First up is going to be the CES news. And starting that off is the Nemeio keyboard by French company LDLC, which is pretty popular at CES. So, what's so special about this keyboard? Every key contains its own e-ink display, which is fully programmable. So, if you're using a certain program with certain shortcuts, you can have all those keys on your board appear as icons to match those shortcuts. This wireless keyboard is also fully programmable with its own interface for ease of programming. So, e-ink display. That's the true selling point of this keyboard. We don't know anything else about the keyboard, to be honest. Like the actual switches underneath, some kind of rubber dome or chiclet style, which is unfortunate, but that's not the main draw of this keyboard. And the main draw, that e-ink display, is my main gripe. I think it's a novelty because at what's most likely going to be a very high price, most people who are going to buy it are professionals, and most professionals I know who are into video editing or photo editing are pretty familiar with the software they use and don't care for shortcuts. They just press their keys. Or they're like me and I touch type. I just press my keys. So, Despite that, I think there'll be quite a few people who will find this interesting. Maybe these can come as, maybe we can get e-ink displays and keycaps from mechanical switches someday. Next up, Coolermaster has announced 3 boards, the SK621, 31, and 51, which are a 6%, TKL, and full-sized respectively. These are all wireless keyboards that feature the Cherry MX low-profile switches. Yep, Bluetooth, you got those R's, G's, and B's. So I think both Kaiwa and Cherry low-profile switches are gaining in popularity, and we'll be seeing more boards through 2019 as Cherry and Kaiwa start pushing these out into interested OEMs. I think it's a trend that favors portability and aesthetic over actual typing experience. What do you think? The wireless aspect is pretty cool, and I think overall, regardless of the typing experience, it'll make for a great travel setup. Next up is, it's a topic you gotta be really tough for. The kind of tough where you can eat a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk. Of course, if you're that tough, you might be interested in the Asus Tough Gaming K7, which uses optical switches. These boards will come in a linear and clicky variant, which is going to be a full-size boards. These switches feature a shallower than standard 1.5 millimeters of travel before actuation. Like with many gaming keyboards, this one features the floating key aesthetic. I'm curious if Asus actually developed their own optical switches or simply using Gateron or the OEM for bloody optical switches for these switches. If you game a lot, do you think optical switches are the true feature or another marketing gimmick? Personally, I think it's a marketing gimmick. The best keyboard for the gaming is the one you're most comfortable gaming on. Moving on, was something a bit interesting. Kaiwa has unveiled what they call China-style switches that appeared at their CES booth. These switches come in 4 unique flavors: Chinese red, noble yellow, glazed green, and ancient gray. So, from these force curve graphs, we have 2 linears, 2 clickies. Pretty interesting. A light linear, a heavy linear, a click bar, and a thick click bar based on the force curve graphs. Okay, here's the best and interesting part. I'd be excited to see thick clicks and click bar switches replace MX Blues in OEMs. That would make for a much better world, don't you think? Yeah, it would. So, let's move on to some non-CES news, and we have quite a bit of it. First up is the group buy for the Zygomorph by RGB KB. This split ortholinear keyboard is pretty interesting because it supports both MX and Chalk LP switches. Of course, since it's from a store called RGB KB, you can expect quite a few RGBs, and there's actually more than that, a few nifty things. It's not just a split ortho board with both PCBs. They support 10 different locations for a rotary encoder with one rotary encoder per side. And you have both PCBs. You can actually combine them to be a 5x12 or a 4x12 without needing an extra cable. That's pretty cool. So for the group buy, the price is $35 per half, and it includes half of a PCB, or half the one half, screws, nuts, headers. Not bad. You're still gonna need, everything else put together. Running until next month, shipping late May. Another group buy that has started is the Aquaria V1 by Oscar 2177. This 65% board features a 70-degree typing angle with an aluminum top, bottom, plate, and a sandblasted brass weight. Price of this keyboard, $270. Not counting PayPal fees or shipping, of course, but that's not bad. And the good news is these boards are basically made, but still need to be anodized. The bad news is Chinese New Year is right around the corner, so the group buy runner isn't expecting anything to ship out until like April. So the main two aesthetic options that will make or break for people this board is the forehead and the relatively gentle sides. Do you guys think foreheads are overdone in keyboards now, or do you think this trend is finally hitting its stride and we're gonna see even more forehead keyboards out there? Overall, I think this keyboard has a decent package going on for the price, and there's a limit of 26 of them for this run. So if you're interested, grab them before they're all out. This next topic is one that I've been really looking forward to for some time. King Nesty has launched the intersect for GMK Lime. Yes, that limey goodness. I will eat a lime on stream or on video when it comes out. I missed it last week, so I wanted to cover it this week. I'm looking forward to this set. Oblosky, great job with those renders, and I think it captures how important the alpha background colors are for the Lime set. And I think the colors turned out well in SA, and I hope GMK can capture that same cool lime and cherry profile. Really excited to see how this set will develop. The light just died. RIP. The next bit of news is the interest check for the Unigo 660, not the Unigo 66, which I just did a part 1 video of, but instead this is a split 660 key layout. If you're looking for a normal split board, here you are. Unlike normal 660 layouts, this one does have a macro side on the left hand side, so you can show off your artisans or make it, volume controls or whatever else you like. Honestly, I wish this was a split 60 instead of a 660. So just because of that, I probably won't get it. I have mixed feelings about the Logitech unifying receivers that they use in the Unigo 66. We'll see. I think there's a market for this keyboard, and I hope unlike the Unigo 66, the 660 has an option for cable for those who want to use the keyboard as a wired experience in order to not have to worry about any wireless connection shenanigans. There's a place for this keyboard. It's unfortunately not on my desk, but maybe it'll be on yours. It can't be in your desk. Could be if you're like on these trays. Our next topic takes us over to KBT Fans, where they have started the group buy for the 50% is an interesting looking case that I think a lot of people will like for a lot of reasons. The case is inspired by both the Fiel and Kira, and this case weighs 2.5 kilograms with an 8-degree typing angle. Included in the $230 price tag is case, brass plate, brass weight, PCB, stabilizers, and free shipping. That's pretty good. The group buy ends next month, and shipping is expected to be in May since factories will be taking a break during the Chinese New Year. Honestly, you're getting a full, basically other than switches, a full keyboard package for $230. For under $300, that board is done, typing in your hands. Last but not least, okay, possibly least in the news, the Realforce R2 RGB. Wait, wasn't there already a Realforce RGB? Oh yeah, this is the TKL one. So Fujitsu has finally launched the RGB version of the Realforce R2, which a lot of people, including myself, have been waiting for. We were not, however, waiting for that $399 price tag to be attached to it. Sure, it may have the fancy APC technology, per key RGB and double shot keycaps, but $399. What a time to be alive. And I can afford to be alive because I didn't spend $399 on a Realforce R2 RGB. Instead, I purchased food and some semblance of happiness through material gain. The keycaps are double shot, and while I don't have one, I'd guess this is based off the full-size RGB, so it probably also has MX sliders. And funny thing, if it has MX sliders, a Nova Touch used at the overpriced market price of $250 is a better value if you're looking for MX sliders. So who is this for? I don't know. Someone with more money than sense. Oh, because the full-sized version, which is the same board but with a numpad, is only $240. You're paying $160 more for a smaller OEM keyboard. Why Fujitsu? Why? That's it for this week in keyboards. I hope you've enjoyed, and if you haven't, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe. Sorry I'm so angry about the Realforce, and sorry this episode was delayed. I had a pretty busy weekend being angry at the Realforce. So yeah, I have 2 more videos planned this week, including one about nuts and part 2 of the Unidos 66, and maybe a build video. Not promising that. That will be next week for sure though. So if you haven't, feel free to join my Discord. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoy, and if you want to continue supporting what I do have a Patreon in the link down below. I'll see you guys next time.